Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. Autobiographical beginnings. This part details Hitler's early life, including his childhood in Austria, his strained relationship with his father, his initial aspirations to become an artist, and his years of poverty and struggle as a young man in Vienna. It describes these experiences as formative in shaping his worldview. Development of a political worldview in Vienna. The section describes the author's time in Vienna as a period of political awakening. It explains his development of intense antisemitism, anti-Marxism, and anti-liberal democracy sentiments, influenced by observing Viennese politics and his interpretation of the social hierarchy. The theory of racial hierarchy. A core ideological chapter introduces the concept of a strict racial hierarchy. It posits the Aryan as the sole culture builder and the Jew as the ultimate destroyer, framing history as a constant racial struggle for survival. This pseudo-scientific racism is presented as a fundamental natural law. The strategic importance of propaganda. This section outlines the author's philosophy on effective propaganda. It must be simple, targeted at the masses, emotionally charged, and relentlessly repeated. The value of targeting emotions over intellect and using slogans that are easily remembered is heavily emphasized. Germany's defeat in World War I. The narrative shifts to Germany's defeat in World War I, which is characterized not as a military failure but as a stab in the back by internal enemies, specifically Jewish and Marxist figures on the home front. This conspiracy theory is used to explain the national humiliation. The post-war crisis. The post-war period is depicted as one of chaos and decay under the Weimar Republic. The government is portrayed as weak, illegitimate, and controlled by the same internal enemies responsible for the betrayal. This establishes the need for a radical overthrow of the existing state. Struggle of the Nazi Party. This part covers the early history of the Nazi Party, NSDAP. It describes its transformation from a small gathering to a political movement, its 25-point program, and its use of mass meetings and symbols like the swastika to build a distinct identity and garner public attention. The failed Munich Putsch and imprisonment. The account details the failed beer hall putsch of 1923, an attempted coup in Munich. The subsequent trial and imprisonment are portrayed not as a defeat, but as a moment of martyrdom and a strategic lesson learned, that power must be seized through legal means and political maneuvering, not just force. Vision for a New State. The book outlines the political theory of the Führerprinzip, or leader principle, which demands absolute obedience to a supreme leader. It envisions a new totalitarian state where this principle governs all aspects of life, from politics to education, replacing democratic institutions. Foreign policy. The final major section presents a blueprint for aggressive foreign policy. It argues that the German people need Lebensraum, living space, in the East, which must be acquired by force from Russia and its neighboring Slavic nations, who are depicted as inferior peoples led by Jewish intelligentsia. Mein Kampf is not merely an autobiographical account but a foundational political manifesto that outlines a destructive ideology. Its core tenets include extreme racial nationalism, virulent antisemitism, and the necessity of totalitarian rule. The book advocates for aggressive expansionism and prescribes propaganda as a primary tool for manipulating the masses. Historically, it served as a blueprint for the policies of the Nazi regime, making it a critical text for understanding the ideological origins of the Second World War and the Holocaust. It remains a stark warning of the dangers of hatred, intolerance, and political extremism.